By being able to convey the very integrated nature of any change in the environment to a decision maker is an enormous improvement over traditional decision making, which just looks typically at one thing. You know, it sort of says, right, we are going to increase the production of wheat. And you do something and the production of wheat goes up. But at the same time, the quality of water goes down, the amount of emissions to the atmosphere increases, habitats for birds decline. That isn't obvious to a decision maker traditionally, because they're just looking at this one unit that they're looking at. The move towards integrated modelling is essential in a world where resources are they're always scarce but getting scarcer, and the margin for error that we have is declining all the time. So I'm hopeful, and I think that initiatives like NatCap are showing the way through which we can actually try and move to a more sustainable decision-making system.
I've just read an extraordinary book by environmental ethicist named Dale Jameson, and he really places the future of change in a new kind of ethic. And this is the ethic of this dialogue with nature and respect for nature, rather than thinking of nature as thinking of nature as providing services for us. It's more about what do we have in common, and how can we live, how can we create environments where there is the ability for natural processes to exist in themselves. The danger, I think, with natural capital is that there are things that get excluded. There are vernacular landscapes, there are abandoned landscapes, there's all these other parts of nature that we don't take into account or value because we don't see the value. And so you have a kind of triage of nature. And I think we have to overcome that instrumentalism with respect to nature.
To be incorporated as part of the main policy instrument of decision maker at national and regional level. I would say that will be the next step. The second one, in other sectors, should be the corporate sector. The private sector should take in consideration this approach too. The benefit for them as private companies, what is the benefit of taking in consideration the ecosystem services. And last but not least is the academic arena. This is already hot topic in the academic arena, and is attracting a young professional coming from not only natural science but also social science and engineering. So it's I think this area is really interesting, and for the next 20 or 30 years, this is going to develop in a very good way.
In the few years that we've been having this symposium, it's just really impressive to see this community exploding, in a good way. Expanding, exploding, whatever you want to call it. But and this is only a small subset of the ecosystem services community at large. But to be able to bring 250 plus people into this venue, and you're seeing all these exciting applications and studies being done around the world, and it's so interesting to see that so many of the presenters here are not primarily or only academics doing primary research, but many are doing this in a very applied way to try and influence decisions. It's just really heartening to see that, and it's also really encouraging to see how some of the people we've been working with over a number of years, where it started out as desktop modeling and doing what you could, and are now coming back to talk about how they are starting to influence decisions in their home countries. And in turn, our colleagues, such as our colleagues from Indonesia, are now advising people who are newer to the game, such as colleagues from Mozambique and Cambodia and others, as to how they can move forward and maybe walk in the footsteps of our Indonesian colleagues, what lessons they can learn. So I just see so much value in a symposium like this as a convening ground, as exchanging of ideas, and also catalyzing new collaborations.
Well, certainly, as I say, just by the looking at all the sessions and how diverse they are, and yet they're all addressing the same topic, and how important the topic is in general. So I see a great future for this area, for sure. But there's some things that need to be done yet, and some things which haven't been paid enough attention to. We still have the early work on the relationship between biodiversity and functioning and service. That link is not as tight as it can be, and so there's some fundamental basic research that still has to be done to strengthen it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
I really appreciate
no, that was
your time.